love to have get into full form when we go into this playoff picture.
Yeah, and what a great guy for him to get some reps in against in Egor. Top tier, one of the best players in the world in head-to-head play. We'll see what decks Egor actually comes out with. But SergioRamos and Egor in this best of 3 final match of the regular season, final set of the regular season between our former world champions and our former West champions, SK Gaming and Team Liquid.
Yeah, if Igor's not running Mortar every single game, it feels like a disappointment, doesn't it?
I was going to say the exact same thing. I really feel like he will just run versions of Mortar every single game.
Well, certainly feeling like it's going to be that so far. A lot of quick cycle, Miner, and there you go. And giant E-Barbs for SergioRamos.
Very, very interesting there. Mortar going to get a connection. E-Barb's going to come down. Excited to see what work. Yeah, look at that. They just slice through that giant like butter. We saw it with the Royal Giant yesterday. Now seeing it with the regular Giant today.
A nice little heal spirit to get that Dark Prince back up to a pretty good amount of health. Fisherman to try to pull maybe some of this away here. Miner, will it get pulled away enough? No, Dark Prince turns the opposite direction. No tower damage out of that one. Fisherman not going to do it either.
This is only the second 1v1 set that SergioRamos has played since spring of 2019. Although in spring of 2019, he went 4-1 in games and 2-0 in sets with an 80% win percentage there. So a lot of changes over the last year.
Well, one of the benefits that Sergio does bring to a team that, you know, maybe gets overshadowed a bit in this current climate is he has more live stage experience than a lot of people.
Yeah.
Right? And live stage experience under the most pressure ever. If you go back to, of course, winning the CCGS World Championship, the biggest event at its time. So it's one of those things where there's an intangible there of having a player who's able to step up and thrive in those live event situations.
Yeah, exactly. Because the other side of it has been people that have really been thriving this season, and especially I'm assuming the rookies have probably got the greatest benefit from not having to be on a live stage with all those lights and cameras, the audience, the commentators, everything being there. It's probably been a very nice transition for rookies from amateur to pro.
Fireball in to protect the mortar on the right-hand side. Snowball behind it. Egor just happy to do everything he can to keep the mortar on, and it gets a couple shots.
Yeah, I actually love it. I love the play. I mean, the fact that he was able to get those both out that quickly and double down on it the way that he did, just really, really brilliant recognition of what his opponent was setting up to do. And Egor now about 50% of the tower down on that right-hand side.
Oh, the double knockback's so valuable, and it's interesting. It's one of those combinations that you don't see run a whole lot. You know, typically the Fireball and Snowball don't get put together very often, but you can see the value here, especially because it's a 6-for-6 trade against those E-Barbs to protect that mortar.
Well, what's so cool about the double knockback as well, when you talk about protecting that mortar, which is very imperative, is now you've got all these units, depending on the situation, you can drop in front, right? So if you really want to go in, you really want to go heavy, you can double drop or drop either of those knockbacks and then get the E-Barbs up front, right? So there you've spent 12 elixir if you've done it with a snowball. However, alternatively, you could do it very cheaply with something like skeletons or bats, depending on what spell your opponent has in cycle.
Oh, the E-Wiz does go right into the Fireball, but the Heal Spirit trying to keep things up a little bit longer. It's just been so hard. Egor has not given SergioRamos the slightest window to get through into the second level.
Yeah, and you look at the spell power behind SergioRamos' deck, and that's why he's really struggling here, right? The ability to take care of the Hunter, the Skeletons, the Bats, units like that with a spell would be really ideal with these giant pushes coming across the bridge. But since he has to deal with them one at a time, those E-Barbs just get so much value.
And now it's the E-Barbs of SergioRamos trying to help with the push. Snowball in. Fireball does finally come out, but the Bats stay on board. You see Sergio not happy with that sequence.
Yeah, so much to just distract those elite barbarians on the ground. The Snowball comes in, Skeletons come in. You could even throw in a defensive Miner if you wanted. SergioRamos in a big uphill battle.
Well, he has no real great way to deal with the Bats, right? You look at the when they come across, you can throw an E-Wiz on them, sure. Fireball if they're clumped. But the Bats have been real annoying for SergioRamos in this one, and Igor's been using them to harass him the entire way.
Yeah, Igor is mechanics with these cheap cards are insane. You know, you saw what he did with those high skeletons on the last Dark Prince push to protect his mortar. He knew exactly the tile to place him on for them to take 2 steps, get up, soak up that Dark Prince charge, take 2 pits from the Dark Prince because they were staggered, and allow that mortar to be that much more threatening. So, I mean, again, when you talk about mortar as a win condition, there's 2 guys whose names come up the most, and it does feel like Egor is the true mortar god these days.
Yeah, that was pretty. That was pretty fun to watch, and you know, a rough outing for Sergio in that first game of 1v1. But that's just game 1. We'll be getting into
sense when you look at Lapakati, when you look at Egor, and then Rich, as you told us, you know, their relationship that they have and how much they practice together. I mean, you remember last year or last season when Lapakati ran that force spell deck, and everyone was like, "Oh my gosh, this force spell deck, it's so strong. Look at how well it was played." That was one of the hardest decks I've ever played in my entire life. And now Egor going with a 4 elixirs full cycle at the top of your screen. Look at that. All the spirits and skellies behind and just cycling everything in the back.
Triple spirit E-barbs. Okay. I'm watching. I'm compelled. I am going to pay very close attention because I want to see if this is even doable. And, of course, if there's one guy who can do it, you're looking at him right now.
I was just going to say, if anyone can do it, it is Egor, and already you're seeing how hard this deck is just to keep up. He misses a couple interactions there, takes a little bit of damage for it, but thinking about taking damage with this deck, it's going to be near impossible for Egor to get it on the tower with anything other than what you saw right there. A spirit cycled with a log behind.
Well, you got to think about, like, he doesn't have to just keep track of all this crazy cycle, but he has to keep track of, like, which spirit am I using right now? This is bananas.
Yeah, and how am I going to stop anything in the air? Oh, I'm not, because I have nothing that targets the air other than my 3 spirits.
Well, Royal Giant E-Barb's going to get a lot of damage. That's going to be tower down.
It sure is. All right, we got ourselves a game, apparently. What is happening? What is happening right now?
Not entirely sure, Andrew. I think we're in an alternate universe, and there you go. Spirit to control 1 skeleton dragon. Spirit to work a little damage on the other one, and going to come out of this with even elixir. Just a half elixir ahead right now, it looks like, is SergioRamos. And now Egor going to go ahead and switch lanes.
Sergio going to go up high here with the recruits, off to the right there with the fisherman. No surprises there. A lot of easy defense. E-Barbs dropped right in the center on top of the fisherman with the heal spirit.
It's a lot going the opposite direction here, Andrew. Log to work on some of those recruits. Lumberjack in the pocket, Balloon in there, and SergioRamos is just like, let's not do this. Let's not do the thing that you're doing.
Yeah, I'm not going to lose this game. Come on, man.
This is. I don't think Egor wins this one. I really don't.
I don't either.
There's a lot. There's a Lumberjack. There's a Fisherman. There's Royal Recruits. A lot of single target DPS. A lot of stuff that absolutely melts a Royal Giant.
And then you talk about just the win condition of SergioRamos. It's a balloon. Egor has nothing to get to the skies.
Yeah. No. I mean, Egor's hope is that physics ends.
Yeah.
And then the balloons don't go through the sky anymore. Although,
what is
take a look at this.
I was just going to say, what is happening? Why would you go for the triple? Why would you go for the 3 crown?
Whoa.
Why would you do this? Why?
No!
Oh,
what in the world?
Why would you go for the 3 crown, my friend? Oh my goodness.
Oh my lord. The Royal Giant in the pocket steals the win. Yeah.